Hey, good evening, everybody. Thanks for joining us here on 20 Sides to Every Story. We're playing, we're running our session 0 tonight for an upcoming campaign that I've been wanting to do for quite some time. Um, Promise this is not OGL inspired in any way. We were going to do this anyway. So we're going to be doing some DCC Lankhmar using uh, the materials that come out in the box set that Goodman Games has, as well as some of the standalone modules that they've put out that kind of complement some of those materials. And so, really, what you're seeing here tonight is just a session 0, as it would be if we were just sitting around the table, or even doing a virtual game off stream. So we've got some housekeeping to do in terms of talking about our like table expectations and all that kind of piece. But then we will get into building some characters, the fun stuff. So if you haven't been privy to how do the DCC Lankhmar characters differ from um, regular DCC characters, you'll see that here tonight. So, as always, at the beginning of our streams, we like to invite you, if you're not familiar with us, to come and check out our Discord server. It's probably the best place to come hang out with us and talk with us about our streams, talk with us about Dungeon Crawl Classics, maybe specifically Lankhmar, you name it. Good group of people there to chat about tabletop role-playing games and such. A great place to find games as well. I think just about everybody here, with the exception of my dad, probably comes to 20 Sides from either having watched a video or something like that. So very easy to get connected with us and play with us. So check that out. Okay. So I think the first thing we'll do is just do some kind of general introductions. I think you've all maybe played a game together and such, but I don't know. There's so many games running around in my head, I can't remember who's met who. So, and we'll just kind of introduce ourselves to anybody that might be watching this here as well. So I was thinking we just kind of go around and kind of introduce ourselves, maybe talk a little bit about maybe how you got started playing tabletop games, maybe what aspects of tabletop games you enjoy the most. Um, and maybe you could talk a little bit about your familiarity with DCC and Lankhmar, if any at all. So I think we'll just go around the table here in the way that I have it presented on the overlay. So we'll start things off with my dad.
Well, I'm Cliff, Alex's dad, and I got started playing with Alex. He developed a very strong interest in playing the role-playing games, and I started illustrating for some of the books, uh, Goodman Games in particular, and I've been illustrating for them for about 18 years now. So,
And you've done quite a few illustrations even for the Lankhmar stuff.
yeah, the book that the box set, you will probably see some of my illustrations in that.
Awesome. All right, we'll try to point those out as they come up. I don't have a lot of the illustrations in the Foundry module here yet, but once we get started with playing, they'll probably pop up a little bit more. So let's move over next. Dave.
I'm Dave. I've been with the channel for a while now. I don't know how long, but I got started playing in middle school with first edition Dungeons and Dragons, which was kind of a lot of fun. I always my the first DM I had killed my first character within like a half hour, and I'm still playing. So I'm still salty about that, but I'm still playing. So uh, yeah. Otherwise, I enjoy a lot of different systems. I'm actually a big fan of Pathfinder. Um, I plan to run my next game as first edition. I'm a little burned out on fifth edition right now. Um, and then last time I got to play an awesome character named Skip in the DCC Lankhmar game, which was a lot of fun. So we'll see what happens. So
Yeah, we never finished that story. So if
no,
anybody
no,
out there watched our Gangs of Lankmar playthrough, sorry about that. It's
yeah,
just
sorry about that.
it's like all the one shots, right? Like eventually, like you hit one where it's like, it didn't end up being a one shot, and then things got in the way. So,
Yeah,
but we're in it
yeah.
for the long haul in this one. We'll complete a story arc, I promise. Um, cool. Let's move next over to Gabe.
Hi guys, I'm Gabe, and I think I started in middle school too, like Dave. And I've played, first edition D&D, second edition. Um, then I guess I got a Yaros in the 90s, and then I think I got hooked up back when D&D, when Wizard of the Coast published the third edition in the early 2000s. Played a little bit of Pathfinder about 10 years ago. Really hooked up on that one too. And then I kind of switched back to fifth edition 5, 6 years ago. I'm familiar with DCC. I really like it. It's like I've this kind of fetish for older style games that just I love it so much. And I've read a couple of novellas and short stories by Fritz Leiber. So I'm really excited. Fafhrd is my favorite character, so very happy to be here.
Yeah, when I read a couple of the books most recently, and Fafford reminds me a bit of your Thorwald character. So I don't know if that was intentional, but that's the character of yours that I thought and kind
Yeah.
of transplanted onto my imagination as I was interpreting the story as I was reading. All right, let's go over next to Chris.
Hello, my name is Chris. Let's see. I started playing D&D in sixth grade. Would be about 38, 39 years ago. I'm 50 now. I've been playing role-playing games in some form or another for that time. The first RPG I ever played was called Tunnels and Trolls. That was the first. From there, first edition, second edition. Let's see, Call of Cthulhu, some Pathfinder. Every iteration of D&D up to this point. I'm in the Dolmenwood campaign that we have on your channel, which I'm really thoroughly enjoying with the old school essentials. I prefer the more old school, I suppose, type feel. When you limit the items in a character's bat belt, you got to use your own creativity and stuff to rather than use your wits, not your tricks. Um, but it's all fun. Um, let's see. I've been at the channel for about 15 months now. My experience with Lankmar is incredibly limited. Knowledge also. So I'm pretty excited about giving this a try and getting into a different setting and a different, I guess, flavor world than what normally is done. But and DCC, I had never played that until the couple of games I was in on this channel. Where I was the Christmas special. I was Beefy. He was kind of my favorite character that I've had in DCC. But I think there was only one other one. But I'm very much looking forward to this.
Awesome.
And playing with Dave. Actually, I don't think Dave and I have
Not
been
yet.
able to
Nope.
get into a game together yet. So I'm very excited.
Well, awesome. And then of course I'm Alex. I'll be the judge. I guess I put GM on the thing. I should change that. The judge with the word for the game master at DCC. So, so my experience. So yes, like my father kind of suggested, got introduced. I don't know how old exactly I was when we played, but he had the I think it was the Moldvay set. Moldvay, the one that had Keep on the Borderlands in it. I'm
I
not
think it's 81.
Yeah, whichever set that was. That was the one we played because I remember distinctly we played Keep on the Borderlands, and I don't know. I think I spent most of the time just, I don't know, messing around in the keep with NPCs and such. And by the time we went out to do anything at the Caves of Chaos, I think a bunch of kobolds like killed us all. So that was kind of it was like a one and done. But I was always fascinated with D&D. Going to like the hobby store, flipping through Dragon magazine or Dungeon magazine, and just looking at the source materials. I always loved kind of consuming this stuff and buying little figures and such. Just didn't have anyone to play with necessarily. But once I got to high school, I remember when third edition came out and all the hype about that. That's when me and a couple of friends kind of got a little bit into it. We're all people that played Magic the Gathering and such, and so it was pretty easy to kind of fall into that, start playing. So played a bit in high school. Kind of fell out of it once I hit college. But the good friend of mine, so I had some books, but I had a friend that had like, I feel like just about every splat book possible for 3 and 3.5, which was a lot of books, right? And he ended up going to China and like living there. Like he moved to, he's never coming back kind of thing. And so he had all these books. And he's like, here you go. I can't take these with me. And so they just sat on my shelf because I was like, sure, I'll take these. And then it just hung on to them for what, I don't know, like almost 8-10 years, I think. And then once I think I was in grad school and I started to getting back into things, and was real thankful I had all those books and all those resources to pull from, because we started playing 3.5. And then at some point we made the switch to 5th edition and went to my first con, I think Gary Con in 2016, and it's just been like the addiction, right? Like it's just ramped up since that first little taste, getting back into it. So here we are now, broadcasting games and such. So I guess my experience with DCC is, I played a handful of games. One of our first streamed campaigns was I'm sure I would cringe if I would go back and watch it or look at it, but we did do a Shutter Mountains campaign that was a short stretch. And I played, if I go to a convention, I'm always going to sign up for at least one DCC game. We've done a handful of the modules here on stream, but it hasn't been since that first that Shutter Mountains campaign that it's basically been modules, what I'm trying to say. And so that's where I'm kind of excited about this experience, because I just want to take all these materials I've gathered for Lankhmar and use them to build not a game that's just following modules, but something that's like a little bit more organic and very kind of character driven. Well, I'm sure we'll throw a module or two into the mix just to experience a few of them, but yeah, in terms of Lankhmar itself as the content, I'm not super familiar with it. I only in the past year or so picked up a couple of the modules. So I read the first one, and then I just got done reading, I believe it's the second one, Swords Against Lankhmar. Or no, Swords Against Death. So not super familiar, so I'm probably gonna butcher a lot of the lore and such, but that's okay. It's our Lankhmar, so we'll just own it and it'll be ours, and that's what it is. And I'll just cry every night when I read the YouTube comments that correct all my mistakes. Just kidding. I won't.
Yeah, it's Lankhmar.
Lankhmar, yeah. But yeah, so I guess here tonight, yeah, we're just doing session 0, so we're going through sort of a bit of our housekeeping and such, and then we're going to do some character creation is really the agenda. So I guess the first thing I need to talk to the group here about a bit is the really fun thing, scheduling. When are we going to play and such? So we've already sort of agreed Sunday nights is the day that we're going to be doing this. We've agreed on the time, 7 p.m. to 10 p.m. But I guess I wanted to see, like, is that, well, first of all, is that still doable for you all? Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then I don't remember if we'd talked about this. Do we want to do every week or do we want to do every other week?
Every other would be good for me. What do you guys?
Every other's fine. Yeah. I mean,
Either one's fine for me.
yeah.
Either one.
Sundays are open for me for as far as I can see, as far as Sunday evenings. So if we do I'm good with whatever.
Okay. So it sounds like, Dave, you're thinking every other would be better for you.
Unless you want to pick up the pace on some of it, I could do a couple sessions each week, but I probably couldn't hold that schedule,
Okay.
sadly.
Well, why don't we plan for every other then? And then we can always talk about it. Like if we feel like we really want to like add like a back-to-back session for some reason, at some point we could talk about that and make that work as long as we've got nothing else going on in the stream schedule. And as aggressive as I like to get with tabletop, probably every other will be better for my sanity anyway, just because so much of this is probably going to have to be a little bit planned versus module play. So that's probably the best option.
Yeah, I was gonna say, Alex, I would think trying to prepare something every week with everything else you have going on might be a little rough.
Yeah, especially right now. Maybe once we get to, I don't know. I've always got like when is the month where things get better? And I think right now I'm telling myself that like March gets better, but we'll see. There's always something else that gets added to the stack, but we'll do every other. And then I was thinking like my plan or my goal with this is kind of a mini campaign. I don't want this to, with my normal campaigns, I usually try to keep them to like 20 to 30 sessions. And this one I was thinking this would be like an 8 to 10 session kind of, probably carry you guys forward to maybe like level 3 or so. So I just want to set that up so you kind of, I think it always kind of helps to know, like if I'm playing in a campaign, I want to know how many sessions roughly it's going to be, maybe what the level range is, so I know how to play my character to build sort of have a character progression that kind of makes sense and is at the right pace for what's going to happen. So I see, we got Uzul in the chat. Uzul Finchata. Thanks for watching. First time watching a stream, not overly familiar with Lankhmar. Well, good. Hopefully we don't spin too many lies for you and really warp your perception of what it's supposed to be. Yeah, actually, this is a good question. Like what it kind of, it's heavy politics, faction based. Definitely falls under the sword and sorcery type of genre where we're not going to have existential threats that are threatening the planet, that the characters are going to set out and be heroes and save the day. More than likely, they're going to be their worst enemies and jam themselves up with problems and end up in debt and need to make money. It's probably going to be a lot of that kind of a thing. So I think we're going to start out. I'll talk more about this later, but we're going to start out with a really, really bad problem that we're going to put them in. So, one of the things that we've been doing in our Dolmenwood campaign that I'd like to maybe carry over into this one is at the end of each session, we do something I call gratitude, where we kind of take a moment just to kind of slow things down, reflect a little bit about the game we played, and let somebody else in the group know tell them about a moment that really made the session fun for you, or something that really made it like, I want to come back to this table next week because of that moment, or that interaction you had, or whatever the case might be. So that's something I'd like to keep doing, because I think it's kind of fun, even for me as like for running the game, to hear what are the things that people are liking about the game, so it can try to encourage more of that.
Hey, Alex, you were looking at roughly 3-hour sessions?
Yeah, no,
Right.
probably no longer than 3 hours. We might do some that are like 2.5 or so.
Okay.
So I guess I don't know. I'll let you guys tell me, like, if we're running like a 2.5 hour, 3 hour game, do you feel like you guys need a break in the middle?
Probably not. I mean, you know,
I'm always
and
okay
somebody
if,
can step away,
yeah,
if they have
Yeah.
to. You have to use the restroom.
100%. Like I never have any problem with someone just like, if you need to walk away or mute or whatever to go take care of something. I've got, a little one around, so once in a while I have to do that too. So, totally okay. Yeah, so I guess talking a little bit about table expectations. This is definitely going to be much more of a rulings over rules type of game. DCC, I'm familiar with it, and it doesn't have a lot of hardcore rules, but I want to try to avoid probably the situation where it's like we're flipping through the book trying to really determine what was the intent of the rule, or whatever the case might be. I'll probably just tell you to roll a d6, and this is how we're going to handle it right now. And then we'll always revisit anything that we weren't sure of, like after the game, and then we will clarify, like, okay, this is how it was supposed to go, and that's how. Then it's the teachable moment where, okay, we'll carry that forward. That's the precedent now, but hopefully, I think I've got a group here that's like okay with that, and not going to get too bent out of shape if we budget rule or something.
Yes. Yeah. Well, I don't really know the rules, so I will not be arguing.
Yeah.
It's one of the benefits.
Absolutely.
Just tell me what to roll. I'll roll it, and we'll go forward.
One of the other table expectations I always like to kind of bring up is, we are doing a stream, right? But to me, I feel like the streams that we do on 20 sides, like, we're not here to perform and have we're not creating this like I don't know exactly what I'm trying to say, but it's not like entertainment, like we're trying to entertain you through our improv and such, though we might do some of that. It's not really the focus. Really, we're just playing the way that we would play at a table regardless. So one of the things I always like to say is, you don't feel any expectation that you have to voice act your character. Like, you could totally do that, and sometimes I might say, okay, this is a situation where we don't need to voice act. I just need to know what's the intent, and I might ask you to, like, give me the point, so I'm clear about what's happening. So I always like to say that. Sometimes even like expressing the inner dialogue of your character, I enjoy that. Rather than trying to portray that through dialogue and such. Sometimes it's simple just to say, like, and summarize, like, what's going on with your character, what you want to do, what your intent is. But conversely, if you really like voice acting and play acting and such, like, go for it, and feel free to do that too. I just wanted to say, like, there's no expectation of that. I think for this campaign, it's going to be very important. This is kind of like harkens back to what we're doing in our Old School Essentials campaign, but maintaining accurate character sheets is going to be very, very important. I'm not managing your sheets. I don't know what you have on you necessarily. So if I give out an item or something, I'll expect that you have written that down and you're saying, okay, like, this is on my person, or you burn that point of luck. I'll expect that you're maintaining all of that, because I'm not auditing character sheets and, like, double checking things. Like, I'm just not going to have time to do all that kind of stuff. So And I think for the most part, y'all are planning to use paper sheets, right? Okay.
Yeah, I was just going to keep mine on the computer if that's okay.
Yeah, 100%. There is a way to do it in Foundry. I think this has a DCC RPG module loaded up. So if you're someone that really wants to have a digital, you could do that. But if it was me, if I was a player, I would not. But if you want, it's there.
Available PDFs too that you could use if you wanted to do that.
Oh yeah. If hopefully you found those, that they have the fillable PDFs on the Goodman Games website. There's also, I loaded up some of the PDFs of the materials that we'll be using into the Foundry module. I don't know if you probably can't see them yet because I probably haven't shared them, but once they are shared with you, and I'll probably share some of them tonight, they should pop up under your journal tab.
Okay.
Let's see. I just want to talk real briefly about player safety. I don't know, in terms of like themes and things that are going to come up. There's some things here that some people might, I don't know, identify as problematic or something like that. But like, I'm definitely planning slavery is going to be a theme in the campaign. You're going to be dealing with a lot of like kind of morally gray, even evil characters. And so I guess I just want to give space to, is there any particular topic or like a theme or a thing that you're just like, let's stay away from that sort of thing?
I personally do not have any taboos when it comes to role playing games.
And if somebody does have a thing and it's just like, we're streaming this and I don't feel comfortable sharing it, you can just message me and let me know. And then nothing that we're doing like is an absolute that it has to be in the game. So I will work around it if there is like a thing like that. So, I guess that brings us to, we'll talk a little bit about character death. So, oops, an alarm is going off. Why did I set that alarm? That's always the thing. I set the alarm, but what was it for? So character death. As you guys might know, in DCC Lankhmar, the lethality is cut down some. Because the intention is that, or at least the designers, the folks that put together the DCC Lankhmar rules kind of identified that, yes, we want to create something that kind of feels like, you're kind of like the novels, and that you might have, it would have sucked if Fafford and the Grey Mouser died after the first story, right? Like, the intention is for them that death isn't really the ultimate consequence of failure. There are other things that are the consequences of failure in DCC Lankhmar. It's going to be more, maybe somebody ends up in jail, or they get jammed up by the legal system, or they're in it deep with the Thieves Guild and they've got to pay off this debt, or else their lives are going to be miserable. Maybe their loved ones are under threat by the I don't know, the gang boss that owns the block or whatever. So it's going to be more things like that versus character death. But I think if a character does happen to end up in the situation where they die, I don't know. I guess I'll make some space here to hear ideas. What ideas do you guys have for how should we handle that if a character does, in the midst of a session, die? What do we do with that player to keep them involved? What is your, maybe thinking about it from your perspective, it happened to your character, how would you want us to handle, when do we bring you back? Do we bring you back for the next session? open conversation for that kind of thing.
You mean roll up a new character and introduce them at some point when it seems viable to bring in a new character?
Yeah.
That's what you've done in the past when you've killed me off, but
Yeah, this is really, I should have just said, when Cliff's character dies, what do we do?
Yeah, I think for me personally, keeping the storyline. I mean, I'm not somebody who likes like when somebody dies and all of a sudden their next character walks in and they're like, hey, all right, join us. It would need to be story first, and bring the person back in. Unless that particular person doesn't want to bring somebody back in or whatever. But I mean, personally I would, but I think it would need to fit the story rather than fit the player, I guess.
I think
Yeah, for me, like,
go ahead, sorry.
for me, I like, I would play it by ear, but we could think about, if that situation occurs like at the beginning of the session, perhaps we might want to think through what we're going to do. But I would say, if the death situation occurs from the second half on, I think everybody should be okay with, just being a participant without a character, and then doing something off stream to, bring back someone. But that's just a very stupid kind of rule of thumb that I have in mind.
Yeah. I think with how short our sessions are, it seems unlikely that we wouldn't already know if like a session was going to start with the possibility of like that happening or whatnot. So hopefully it's never like within the first 30 minutes of a session where we don't want to have somebody sitting there for 2+ hours with nothing to do. So I guess we will have to play it by ear a little bit, like kind of when it happens, like because if it happens like 2 hours in and we've got 30 minutes left to play, probably behooves us to just hold off on introducing the new character and like let us have an off stream maybe conversation about how to bring them back and what might be narratively the most fitting way to do that. So I'd probably say don't worry too much about having like a backup character, because I really don't think I really don't think that's going to be kind of the thing that we'll have to do. But probably more likely I would just like maybe hand an NPC or something off to you to just kind of run for that remainder of that session. I imagine we will have no shortage of like NPC type characters that a lot of the story is probably going to be dealing with other characters and factions and such, so it should be pretty easy to stitch something together. But let's I might talk a little bit about some like mechanics here that are different than what you normally see in DCC, just so you guys know like kind of how healing works, because as you all know, we've only got 3 character classes and cleric is not among them, so you don't have a dedicated healer type. But that doesn't mean that you don't have ways of healing. And so there are a couple of rules here, and all of them basically involve burning a point of luck in order to activate. So one of the things that you can do is once per encounter, you can burn a point of luck. And in that turn, you can't do anything else. You can move, but you can't take any other actions. Your whole action is kind of like maybe patching up like a wound that's bleeding out, or staunching a wound, or whatever the case might be. And so you spend a point of luck, and then you would roll your class's hit die. So like, for example, if you're a warrior, you'll roll a d12 and then add your stamina bonus to that, and that's how many hit points that you recover then. You can never burn more points of like you can burn multiple points of luck on this action, but it doesn't give you additional dice. It gives you an additional modifier. So for example, if you burn 5 points of luck, you're rolling 1d12, add your stamina bonus, but then you'll get to add an additional 4 on top of that. So, and you can do that after the roll. So like, if you really botch the roll, like your warrior, you're down 15 hit points, you really needed some healing, and you roll a 2. You could burn some luck after seeing the roll to get you where you're comfortable. The other thing that you can do outside of combat is you can burn a point of luck once per day. It's sort of if you're familiar with like 5e, it's kind of like your short rest mechanic, I guess. You can burn a point of luck, and that will give you I'm gonna make sure I've got it right, but I believe it's your hit die. Yes, your class hit die plus stamina bonus plus your level. So it's a little bit more than maybe that staunching of the wound in combat. Do those mechanics make sense?
Do we ever regenerate luck back, or once it's used, once it goes to 0, it's just done?
So the thief has a mechanic where they automatically regenerate luck.
Okay.
But the thing is, in DCC Lankhmar, I will award you permanent luck oftentimes as a reward for completing something. So you will like, it won't be predictable, I guess. For the thief, it's predictable. For the rest of you, it's kind of like, okay, we need to quest. We need to achieve our objectives, and we'll get or have cool moments. Like I might give you extra luck because you did something unpredictable or something that was like incredibly awesome. I might at the end of the session award you more.
Well, and luck is an attribute, right? So like, what if we roll up, let's say, a 12 on luck? Are you maxed at 12, or will it, or
No.
is that's a continuum? You add points to it and everything. So
yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
The other thing that you could do is if your character is dying, right? So the rule in DCC is if you go down to 0 hit points, you have a round per level to be stabilized. Now there's no cleric, so really the only way that you're probably going to be able to go and stabilize a downed character is if you have like some kind of restorative, like a healing potion or an unguent or whatever the case might be, some kind of item to do it. Otherwise, once the battle is ended, an incapacitated character can spend a luck point to regain a single hit point and become conscious. So but again, it's kind of like they have to be alive. So like you're a little bit more durable, but like if you go down to unconscious and like nobody bothers to do anything to like intervene when like the Minotaur is coming at you with the axe and coup de grace the character, like hopefully it doesn't come to that, but
it's gonna happen now. It's gonna happen.
yeah.
When Cliff goes down.
When Cliff goes down.
Everybody ignores it.
What else? Okay. So this is a thing that'll come up probably. I know that it'll probably come up in our game, just based on the scenario I have in mind. But so something about Lankhmar. So the gods and powers, right, aren't omniscient. They're not omnipresent. They walk among the mortals for the most part. Like, gods are known to walk among humanity and such, and so they are powerful, and but a lot of times they enlist adventurers to be their agents, and so there is each of you, if you ever end up in a situation where you are pledged, whether you actively sought that out or you just are as a result of something you did, you'll have a patron die that you can roll. And so you could heal potentially by calling upon your patron. I'll have to get back to you on the mechanic of how that works, but I believe what it is if you ever want to enlist the power of your patron, you roll your, like, let's say it's what is it? Like, let's say you want to empower an attack with the help of your patron. You'd roll your attack like normal with your d20, and then you'd roll your patron die along with that. And so the patron die could be a d10. It fluctuates. It can be whatever. As you use it and successfully use it, it goes down and becomes lower and lower. As you gain favor with your patron, it gets higher. But when you roll that, if it's yeah, I'm gonna have to read the instructions again on like how that works. But basically, you can use your patron to come in and do something for you, and healing is one of the things that they might be able to help with.
You owe them something in return, then.
Typically, usually it's it might be a direct ask, like I will do this for you if, but more often it's just that your patron die gets reduced, and if you ever want it to go back up, you have to start doing things in service of that power. Otherwise, they're not going to answer the call anymore, basically. There are things like ointments and unguents and restoratives that you can buy. And so at the point when you have we have to do a shopping session, I won't go into like too much length on that, but once you're at the point where you want to buy stuff, just know that kind of exists. It's a little bit more nuanced than just going and buying a healing potion. The things that you buy are going to have drawbacks and quirks and things like that. I believe those are, for the most part, those are the healing options that exist. But let's see, where do we go from here? So on one hand, I was thinking about giving you kind of like an overview of Noen, the world, Lankhmar, and such, but maybe it makes more sense to have you guys create your characters and just kind of more as needed explain things, like where your characters originate from, like depending on what you roll up, then I'll explain it instead of overwhelming you with a bunch of stuff that maybe doesn't need to be brought up. So I think what I'm going to do here, unless there's any questions that you guys have yet. I'm going to pull up one of the PDFs and share it with you so you can look at what I'm looking at. So this one, yes. Okay, if I show this to you, anything pop up for you guys?
Yeah.
Compendium of Secret Knowledge?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect. I'm just going to resize this a bit so hopefully people that are watching might be able to read it. I don't know if that's probably coming through super clear, but we're going to go flip up to page 3. That's where we'll have kind of the process, no funnel. So I think maybe the first thing we're going to do is we're going to roll ability scores. So that's step 1 under the no funnel. The roll ability scores, and you can swap 2 of them if desired. So this is 3d6 down the line. So what you're rolling for the first stat is what goes in strength, and on down the line. So go ahead and start rolling.
All right. And the order is strength, agility, stamina, personality, luck, and intelligence, right?
Is that how it's listed on the sheet?
Yeah, that was how it was listed on the thief sheet.
Okay.
I guess
Yeah.
I didn't look
Yeah.
at any of the other stats, right?
Yeah, everything is the same order.
Well, I started out good. I got a feeling it's going to be downhill from here, though. We'll see. Yeah.
And rolling good.
I'm rolling not too bad either.
I should have had some like Jeopardy music or something while
Yeah.
this was
Dun,
happening.
dun, 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 dun.
Luck, I rolled a 9. Damn it.
Yeah, my personality, I just rolled a 5. So
I got a awesome strength of 7. I might go for wizard here.
Yeah.
Ooh,
Anybody
this is a hard one.
anybody got a 16 or higher on anything?
I have a 16 strength.
Oh, nice. Okay.
16 strength, 11 agility, 15 stamina, 5 personality, and then I rolled a 14 on my luck, and now here's my intelligence. So let's see if I am dumb and unlikable.
You're rolling really good.
Yeah, I have 1 tank though. Yeah, and 9 on my intelligence. It's
And then we could switch 2 of them if need be.
You can switch 2 of them. Yep.
Hmm.
You know, probably your stats determine sort of the idea of what you're going to be going for, but maybe not, because there's a couple of other pieces to this that are going to come up, and one of them would be your birth augur, which is just kind of like a random thing that if you have a luck bonus, your luck bonus would apply to. But then DCC Lankhmar characters also come with a Benison and a Doom, and so sometimes the Benison is kind of like some kind of maybe special power, or like one of them is like you can learn a couple of spells. And so you got a couple of spells, maybe you want to be a warrior so you can be like a spell slinging warrior, you know what I mean? Like so you may want to wait, you could choose your class a few steps down, yeah. So everybody got your stats rolled up?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Anybody doing any swaps yet? You could wait if you wanted to swap too.
I did. I swapped my luck and intelligence.
Okay.
There's very little I can do with this rules, so I'm just gonna keep it.
How bad is it?
No, it's not bad. It's
Okay.
it's so it's a -1 and a +1, and all the others are between 9 and 12. So -1 is strength, +1 is stamina. Everything else is between 9 and 10. So it's actually, I can do anything with it, I guess, except perhaps warrior. And that's it.
If anybody wants to petition me for a re-roll of all their stats, let me know. But otherwise, we can keep moving on here. And so the next thing we're going to do is we're going to determine your birth augur, the lucky roll, basically. So why don't we start with... Oh, man. Okay, this requires a D30. I think I'll just roll this for you each if you're okay with that.
I have a D30.
Oh, you have a D30? So. Why don't you start us off?
All right.
I have a D as well.
Okay, I totally underestimated who I had here. They all got D30s.
You could roll 3d10 too, right?
You never get a 1 though.
Oh yeah, that's right.
All right, I got an 11 on my D30.
An 11 on the D30. All right, so that's going to be... Do you have a luck modifier?
My luck is 14.
Okay, so you got a +1. You got a +1 to finding and disabling traps. Very good. And then Cliff, you had a D30 as well?
Yes, I rolled a 26.
26. The Warrior's Arm. Do you have a positive on your luck modifier?
I rolled a 15. What is that? A plus
+1.
2? Is that a plus 2?
+1.
+1.
Plus 1.
We have a +1 on critical hit tables. So clarification on this, because this messed me up when I first started DCC. That's static. That's not going to change if your luck score changes. You just always have that +1. Even if you dip and you burn all your luck, you still get that +1.
Okay.
Hey, thank you, Uzul Finchada. Thank you for the follow. Appreciate that. Thanks for all the follows tonight. There's a couple that I didn't acknowledge in there too. G. Anan Mally. Yes. Thank you for the follow. Gabe, did you have a D30?
No, I don't. So you can roll for me.
All right. Got a 19. Survived a spider bite. Saving throws against poison.
Nice. And you can climb walls and shoot webs from your hands.
That would be Spider-Man.
Spider-Man. Let's see. And Dave, did you want me to roll that for you?
I do. I need you to roll that here for me.
That one is a 9. Pack Hunter. Attack and damage rolls for 0 level starting weapon. I think I'll just let you choose the weapon that you want to have. So, like, you want it to be with a longbow or a long sword or a battle axe or whatever the item is. This would be your luck modifier applies to the thing. Do you have a luck modifier?
It's an 11, so I think probably
Okay.
what's it is just a 0.
Yeah, so I guess it won't matter, but
Yeah, it won't matter. Yeah, unless I do good things or something. So
What a personality of 5? What is the modifier on a 5?
that's a -2.
And it just kind of means I'm just a real son of a bitch, basically.
Yeah, it could be. What all does personality impact? I feel like it's a little bit more than like retainers. I guess it would be will saves. It affects will saves.
Oh no.
All right. So we got that done with. The next thing that we're going to do is we're going to determine where your character is from. So I think we'll start with Cliff on this one. Roll a D8.
D8.
Yes.
Where's heck is it? Oh, here. I rolled a 2.
All right. Your character is from Lankhmar. So, maybe the easiest one to explain, but you're from the city of Lankhmar, which is on the southern end. Do you guys all have the map of Nawan up in the background there?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you probably see Lankhmar is just on the south side of the inner sea, to the east of the outer sea. It is kind of the primary location where much of our game is probably going to take place. It is the largest, most prosperous city in the region. Very rich in agricultural resources. A lot of the food that is grown gets exported. They do a lot of trade with the nations of the 8 cities to the north, across the inner sea, and they do a bit of trade with their sister city of Ilfmar, which exists due east. sometimes by land when it's possible to do so. The salt marsh that exists there is only sometimes during certain parts of the year accessible by a land bridge, but during other parts of the year, the sea consumes that land bridge and it becomes inaccessible. And so there is quite a bit of naval travel that goes back and forth there. Yeah, we'll develop that out as we get kind of your Benisons and Dooms and such written out. Why don't we go next here to Dave? Do you want to roll us a D8?
Yes. I got a 1.
You also are from Lankhmar.
Okay.
Let's go to Gabe.
Okay. 7.
7. So you are from the Eastern Lands. The Eastern Lands are sort of desert terrain. They're sort of analogous to Earth, like kind of Arabic kind of inspired a bit. A lot of wealthy traders there, and not uncommon to find folks from the Eastern Lands in Lankhmar. It's sort of a mix of people from all over the world, and there's definitely a lot of trade interests from the Eastern Lands that end up in Lankhmar, kind of dealing with the overlord there and his nobility and such. Let's see. Let me just pull something up real quick. I think the main city of the Eastern Lands that the common person would know would be Horborixen, which exists beyond the river Tilth. Easterners respect both skill in battle and in trade, and so it's common to find steely-eyed assassins lounging with fat merchants in the kasbahs of eastern cities. Easterners venerate a multitude of gods and spirits, some of whom make their way to the street of the gods in Lankhmar via wild-eyed desert holy men and women. All right, let's move next then to Chris, D8.
3.
You are from the Land of the Eight Cities. So the Land of the Eight Cities is a region that's just across from Lankhmar, across the sea, and was actually initially kind of the origins of some of those cities are the eight cities themselves were sort of outposts that Lankhmar had set up in that region. The Great Forest, of course, is very rich in natural resources, including lumber. But the reason that Lankhmar built those outposts was it's very mineral rich. So they wanted to set up mines and kind of harvest some of those resources in that way. But at some point, the Mingles, or there was a pair of Mingle warlords that came into the region with I guess, invaders that kind of came into the region to kind of intermix and take control of that region, and that is sort of where that civilization is now. It's sort of a mix of Lankhmar and Mingle. And so the language that they speak there is sort of a blend of the two languages. Lankhmar has since lost control of all of that, but they still have a lot of trade that goes back and forth. And the eight cities have an overlord, just like they kind of have inherited some of the political traditions of Lankhmar. But each one kind of operates as its own sort of city state with kind of a very loose governing structure that keeps them connected and such.
Okay.
And we're actually not going to start our campaign in Lankhmar. That is where we're going to start in the Great Forest in one of the cities there. Okay, so we got your points of origin all figured out. The next thing we need is we are going to determine your Benisons and Dooms. And these are somewhat influenced. Actually, they are directly influenced by your place of origin. Let me just see. So the player rolls a d20 modified by luck to determine both Benison and Doom. So in the case of a Benison, you'll add your luck modifier. And in the case of the Doom, I believe it's subtracted because the higher Doom numbers are more dangerous. So let's start with our folks from Lankhmar. So we'll start here with Cliff. Roll a d20, and then do you have a luck modifier? +1, right?
Yes.
So you add a +1 to this.
Okay, so I rolled a 13, so that'd be 14.
14. Split Soul Hero. And so you can scroll down to find that. It'll be on page... Looks like page 9. Of the Compendium of Secret Knowledge that I shared with you in Foundry. I'll share it again, just in case. Oh, you've got your own book. Page 9. And so it says, the PC and one other character in the party are two halves of a heroic whole. Due to the ineffable whims of reincarnation, a long-dead hero's soul was broken in half when he or she reincarnated, with each fragment manifesting in a separate body. The two halves immediately recognize their shared connections, even if they don't understand it or know why they have one, and likely become either boon companions or instant enemies. A PC with this Benison chooses another player character who, assuming they agree, also gains this Benison for free. It does not count against the second PC's starting number of Benisons, nor require the player to roll for another Doom. This Benison allows each split soul PC to spend luck with double the benefit to help the other. Each point of luck grants a +2 bonus to the assisted PC's roll. Also, split soul heroes can spend permanent luck in addition to fleeting luck to help one another and regain the expended luck much faster. This Benison can apply to more than one PC. If two or more PCs begin the game rolling or choosing this Benison, they can possibly form an entire party of split soul heroes, the reincarnated forms of a great hero whose soul was fragmented multiple times. The death of a split soul hero ends the mortal connection between the two. So, I won't make you choose that just now. We can wait till everybody's got their stuff figured out, but be thinking about that as things go on, who you share a soul with. So that's pretty cool. And we got some. I see Percy's out there in the chat. Yeah, always cool seeing new character creation systems. This one is very cool because of all these different little unique things that you can get added on. So let's do your Doom next then, Cliff.
Okay, so does this one
You'll subtract
have
one.
subtract one?
And you want to roll low, I guess.
I rolled a 6, so it would be a 5 then if I'm subtracting one.
All right. Minor, or no, sorry. Dependent. Let's see what dependent says. All right. This one is on page 11. The PC has a spouse, parent, sibling, child, or other individual that they are responsible for. They must ensure that the dependent is cared for by spending both time and money to their benefit. The PC's foes will eagerly endanger the dependent should their existence be discovered. A PC who fails to care for a dependent suffers a permanent loss of luck, usually 1 to 3 points, depending on the severity of the failure, and may be cursed by his culture's gods as determined by the judge. So, again, I'm not going to make you decide who that person is, but, over the next couple of weeks, you want to weave that into your backstory and come up with who is this person, presumably back in Lankhmar, that is dependent
You
on
said it was on page 7?
page 11.
Oh, okay.
So, all right, we will move on now. Let's go over to Dave. You're also from Lankhmar.
Yep.
Go ahead and
All right.
roll us up a d20.
I have an 11 luck. Where do we find the modifiers for the?
If you've got a DCC book, it would be on page 18.
I don't have it here. Okay.
It's like first ed, 9 to 12 is average, 0, right? And then you need like a 13, 15 for a +1, 16, 17 is +2, I think.
Okay. And then what's a 9? -1?
0. No, it's
0.
0. 9 to 12
That's 0
is
yet?
0. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Thank you. So I got a 15. I have a 0 modifier on my luck.
Ooh, all right. 2-weapon fighter. Or 2-weapon fighter.
Okay.
So on the Compendium of Secret Knowledge, that is going to be on page 9? No, page 10. The PC can wield 2 weapons in combat as if he were a halfling. So basically what that means is you can attack twice using a D16 instead of a D20. So it's reduced a little bit, but you crit on 16s.
Interesting. Oh, wow.
So
Okay.
you have a higher chance of critting, I guess.
Mm.
However, both weapons need not be the same size. A PC with this benison can fight with 2 long swords, a sword and a dagger, a sword and a hand axe, or any other one-handed weapon with the judge's approval.
Interesting. Okay.
And if you get 2 of whatever you name as that, oh no, you didn't have a luck modifier. But
yeah,
still, pretty cool to have that.
Yeah.
Then let's do your doom.
All right, here we go. All right, a 4.
4. Illiterate.
That's
We could probably predict what this one's going to say, but let's read it anyway. So that
sounds like this character's going to be Skip.
It's going to be Skip again. Skip's brother. Page 11. Illiterate. The PC is incapable of reading or writing any language, even those they speak. They cannot even write their own name. Wizards with this doom do not possess spell books and employ some other mnemonic device to learn their magics. A comprehend languages spell temporarily overcomes this doom. This doom may be overcome permanently with education at the judge's discretion. So there you go.
Nice.
Let's see. Well, let's go over to Gabe. D8 for your, D20 for your Benison.
I rolled a 3. My luck modifier is 0, so it's a 3.
3. Stored goods. It's on the bottom of page 9. Stored goods. The PC begins play with 1d3 plus 50 gold rilks worth of merchandise stored somewhere. These goods might be the result of the PC's wheelings and dealings, pirated plunder, stolen booty, or ill-gotten goods. The merchandise is cumbersome and not easily moved, but if a buyer is found, the PC can transform it into hard coin. If desperate for cash, the goods can be sold immediately at a loss of 50% of their value.
Okay.
Actually, that brings up a point here about the currency in Lankhmar. So, kind of the base currency is silver smurducks, which are worth a silver piece, but it's kind of like the people are going to value things typically like in silver smurducks probably more often than they will anything else. There are also what is it? The gold rilks are a step up from silver, so I think it's 10 smurducks to 1 gold rilk. And then I think it's iron ticks is the lowest. So you don't really need to know this, but yeah, silver smurduck is a silver piece, a gold rilk is a gold piece. Copper pennies are copper pieces. But then there's, I guess the interesting thing is there's currency that's below copper. So like there's the bronze agel, there's 500 bronze agels to a gold rilk, and then there's iron ticks, which are 1,000 iron ticks to a gold rilk. So,
So two irons to a bronze.
yep,
50
50 bronze to a copper penny,
and then 10.
and then
to
it
a
goes
silver.
normal like that. Yeah. Okay. So I guess even if yours have passed by and we've got you set up, you might notice that there are, in parentheses, this luck thing behind some of these Benisons. That's because at character creation, you could choose to buy an additional one by permanently burning your luck down by that many luck. So if you're casually looking through this document and you see like, oh, like this Benison would be really cool, you can burn luck to gain it. However, if you do, so you get to choose one if you do that, right? You can choose the one that you want, but you'll get another Doom if you do that. So, I can leave the module up for a bit, like later tonight or even like in the next 2 weeks. If you choose, if you want to buy a Benison in the next, even after tonight, I'd still allow you to do that before session 1. So,
Speaking of Doom.
Speaking of
Let's see what we
Doom.
got. 5.
5 owes a minor favor. Okay, owes a minor favor. Bottom of page 12. Similar to above, okay, it references the one above it is owes a major favor. So I guess let's read that, even though that's not yours. Owes a major favor says the PC owes a debt of gratitude to a benefactor who once helped the PC out of a serious predicament. At this level of severity, the favor is a large one, such as having helped the PC escape imprisonment, intervened with a powerful foe on the character's behalf, or saved the PC's life. The benefactor will eventually call the debt due, and the PC must attend to his obligation. Failure to do so might result in the benefactor seeking revenge against the PC, perhaps instigating the very event he or she once saved the character from. The player and judge should work together to determine who the PC's benefactor is and what he or she did to aid the character. So that's major favor. Owes a minor favor says, similar to the above, the PC was once helped out of an uncomfortable predicament by someone and now owes his benefactor a debt of gratitude. At this level of severity, the favor is a small one, such as having been lent money during a time of poverty been given assistance to escape from a social predicament, or other small matter. The benefactor will one day call in the owed favor and ask the PC for help. The player and judge should work together to determine who the PC's benefactor is and what was done to aid the character. Failure to tend to this obligation when the debt comes due will result in social shunning, a loss in reputation, and or possible legal action.
Okay.
And then let's go to Chris.
All right. I am from the land of the 8 cities. That's a 10. My luck is a 14, so that's an 11.
Major ally.
Hmm.
Let's see. Major ally is on page 8. The PC has a friend with extremely useful talents. This ally might be a trained warrior, freelance thief, apprentice wizard, member of the City Watch, or Cliff's backup character. The ally will occasionally agree to accompany a PC on their adventure, acting as a follower for a short time. Major allies are always first level in their chosen professions when first acquired, but may advance over time at the judge's discretion. If a major ally dies while adventuring, this benison is lost for good. So yeah, with any of these characters that pop up in these things, I'm going to let you guys design and come up with the story there. Probably what I'll have each of you do is like write me up a summary kind of your character and incorporate those things. And then I'll be able to use that to seed adventures then going forward. So, all right. And then a doom.
My doom, and now I subtract my +1.
Yep.
Right? Okay. That is a 16, so -1, 15.
Magically corrupted.
Oops.
This sounds fun.
Yeah.
All right. Magically corrupted. Bottom of page 11. The PC either performed magic far beyond their capacity as an apprentice or was too close to a mystical event gone horribly wrong. As a result, the PC bears a trace of magical corruption. Roll a 1d5 to determine the severity of the corruption.
Okay, I'll just do a D10 and divide it by 2. Does that sound good?
Sure.
That's a 9, so
5. All right. They won't.
Yay, a major corruption. That's lovely.
Yeah, major corruption. So then we'll roll on the table on page 19, which appears to be a percentile.
Percentile. It's a 93. It's probably not good.
Chris, you're really making the most out of these rolls.
Oh,
Oh no.
a sorceress coma. Character falls into a magical coma. They do not age or require nourishment while in this state, but can only be roused by an extremely rare event or substance. The judge must determine what can awaken the character, but it should require an epic adventure.
Oh my.
Okay, so I need to roll up a new person?
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
Let's...
Looks like
Huh.
I'm trying to think if this could work in the scenario that... And I'm going to say no, because I don't want you to start out with something that already involves, like, doing something crazy to undo. So why don't you re-roll that?
The percentile?
Yeah.
All right. 75.
75. Let's try that one.
That's I'm in the right direction. But
Okay.
not far
Melting
enough.
flesh.
Okay.
This sounds better.
Oh my gosh.
The character's skin on a random body part appears to melt. It flows like wax and reforms into odd puddles and shapes. This is an ongoing, constant motion that itches constantly and repulses others. Roll a 1d6 to determine the melting body part.
Oh my gosh. Okay. 2.
Okay, an arm.
Okay. So a major magical corruption. Melting arm.
You're gonna have to have like a bag or something like wrapped up around just to collect your arm.
Right. Okay.
Your arm's so long. Down to your ankle.
So I think that is everyone, at least at base value here, right? Feel free to take a look if you want to buy another one. You can think about that between sessions. Yeah, Tuck says this kind of goes well with the 5 personality.
Yes. Yeah.
Let's see what's next. Okay, so we're at the point where it's time to choose a class. So thief, warrior, or wizard. Does anyone? You can have some negotiation or talk about this. Is anyone ready to declare right away?
I think
Yeah, I
ahead.
will. I'll be a thief. My intelligence is like 7, so I can't be a wizard. And my strength is just, yeah, thief is what I'm gonna have to be.
Sounds good. So let's have you roll your hit points right away then. So first roll a d4.
Oh, jeez. 1.
Okay. Do you have a stamina bonus?
I have 12. No.
Okay, so 1, then roll a d6.
Oh, jeez. 1.
Okay,
Yeah,
just
3
remember,
points.
I didn't kill your character.
Right.
Character creation killed your character. So you got hit points of 2.
Oh,
Well, you got to be real nice to Chris because he's coming up with your backup character there. Let's see. Dave, you said you knew?
yeah, I would have to be a thief as well. I have a low strength and a low intelligence, so, and I'm illiterate.
But your arms are not melting.
There's always an upshot.
It's going to make for an interesting when we meet you.
Mm.
All right. Roll a d4.
Okay. I got a 2.
And stamina bonus?
I got a 1.
Okay, so 3. And then roll
Nope.
a d6.
Oh, a 5.
Okay, so, and then plus 1 would be 6. So you got 9 hit points.
A 9. Okay.
You're almost 5 times as much as Cliff's character.
Yeah.
All right, who else has an idea?
I was. Oh wait, so we got 2 thieves already. Chris, can you give me an indication so that I could?
Well, okay. I have a 16 strength, I have 15 stamina. My
Yeah.
agility isn't that much. My personality, I mean, and I think personality pretty much is like your kind of your force of personality
Yeah.
along with other stuff. So I, with my arm melting and stuff, I think, I mean, it does go with the 5 personality, but I guess I would be looking at a fighter.
Okay, so that
So-
then it automatically orients me. I was divided between swooping, strand with something else, and be a fighter myself, or just stick with what I have and be a wizard. So I think I'm going for the latter.
Okay. Do you have a stamina bonus?
I do.
Okay.
Plus
So-
one.
D4.
3 plus 1, 4.
Awesome. And then I always have to double check.
Is it D4 or D6?
Yeah, that's what I don't remember. It is D4. Okay. D4
Okay,
for
so
wizard.
second D4 coming my way. And this one is only a 1. It goes to a 2. So in total, I have 60 points.
Sounds good. Not too bad. Not too shabby for a level 1 wizard.
No, not at all.
And then we've got our warrior. So you have a stamina bonus?
Plus one, I think. 15, right?
Yep.
It's
Yeah,
one.
plus 1.
Okay. 3 on the D4.
Okay, so 4 plus a D12 plus stamina.
All right. Come on. That's a 9, so not too bad.
Very cool.
That's 10, so that's what, 14 total?
Choose an alignment for your characters. Thieves, you may want to think about that a little bit because your skill set is sort of determined a bit by your alignment. Like your skill bonuses are different for, like I think a chaotic thief has like bonuses to backstab and things like that, whereas the lawful thief has. Yeah, so you may want to reference that before you choose, but just know that. Something for Gabe. You're playing the wizard. You don't have to make a choice here, but you could. Is that some wizards dabble and specialize in black magic versus white magic, but you could totally like not have a specialization either. I'll give you kind of the what are the differences? So because each path has advantages and disadvantages. Whereas if you don't choose one, then it's just vanilla normal. So white magicians suffer a -2 penalty to each damage die rolled. You still have a minimum of 1 point of damage per die that you roll when casting offensive magic. Non-living creatures such as undead or animated objects suffer normal damage. The benefit is that you gain a +2 bonus on your spell checks when casting spells associated with your philosophical path. And there is, if you look at page 30 of this PDF, the Compendium of Secret Knowledge, you can see what the spell lists are for white magic versus black magic. If you specialized in black magic, same thing, you get a +2 bonus on your spell checks with casting those spells associated with the path. But black magicians, the negative is they're more prone to horrible corruption and roll on the next higher corruption table when struck by casting misfortune. So if you're asked to roll on a minor corruption table, you have to roll on the major corruption table. Corruption usually happens on a fumble, like a misfire, and you roll a 1 and you roll again to kind of determine how bad it is, and it may be that you have to roll on the corruption table.
Roll like I did, and your arm melts.
Yes. And if the greater corruption table is already being rolled on, the caster applies a -2 modifier to their die roll. So.
I really am not knowledgeable about wizardry, so I think I'm gonna go for a vanilla wizard with no specialization and see what comes my way. I think for this character is I don't have a strong opinion
Yeah,
whether he should be like an asshole-ish or a nice guy. So I think I'm gonna stay neutral.
sounds good. If you change your mind or something before session 1 or episode 1, you could totally do that. And a thing here for who's our warrior? Chris is the warrior.
Me. Yeah.
So unarmored warriors get benefit to AC more so than in the base game. So if you are not wearing armor, you get to double your agility bonus to your AC.
That's 0.
So that part won't help. What was the other thing?
And alignment really doesn't matter, right?
Alignment doesn't matter much for the warriors. Let's see, unarmored warriors. Additionally, under this rule, any character wearing any armor with a check penalty of -3 or more no longer gains the advantage of a positive agility bonus. Okay, so it doesn't really. Okay. Sounds good. So I think we've got that out of the way. Languages. We can determine what languages you know. Page 14. So starting languages, almost all characters know the Pidgin version of Low Lankhmarese, which is the common trade language of Noen. They also know the language native to their place of origin. So if a PC comes from a place with multiple native languages, such as the Eastern lands, they must choose one of the languages as their native-born form of communication. Characters with an intelligence of 5 or less begin play knowing only their native tongue. For each point of intelligence modifier that you have, you know another language based on your place of origin. So let's start with Cliff, your character. Do you have you're from Lankhmar, so you know Lankhmarese. Do you have an intelligence modifier?
-1.
-1. Okay. Let's go to Chris. Your character is from Land of the Eight Cities, so you know Kvarchish. And Kvarchish is sort of that language that's like a mix of Mingle and Lankhmarese.
Okay. And I know the Low Lankhmarese, right? That's the
Yep.
trade language.
Yep. And do you have an intelligence modifier?
I do not.
Okay.
My intelligence is 9.
Let's go to Dave. Your character's from Lankhmar, so you automatically know Lankhmarese. Hi, Lankhmarese.
Yep.
And let's see, you had a negative to intelligence, was that right? Or no, it was just that you were illiterate.
It's got a 0, yeah.
Okay. And then Gabe, your character is from the Eastern lands, so you have a choice.
Or Borixic or Desert Talk. And I think I read above that if I'm a wizard, I rolled a d12. I don't know what that does.
Yeah, so you have an intelligence modifier?
No.
Oh, you don't? Okay. If you had an intelligence modifier, you'd roll a d12 to see an additional language that you know.
Okay, got it. I will go with Orborixic, meaning that I'm from the city.
Okay.
I guess.
Perfect. Okay, so that is it for languages. Next up on our character creation journey here is roll once on the intriguing item table, which is on page 38, towards the back of the book, if I remember correctly. Yes. So that's going to be a percentile. Let's start. Let's have you, Gabe. Let's have you start this one off.
Okay, so percentile?
Yep.
42.
42. Euphoric weed. Nice.
Here you go.
Maybe that could be tied to those goods that you have stashed somewhere. Got a little taste of whatever that is on you at all times. Let's go over to Dave. Percentile.
10.
Reversible white fur cloak.
Okay.
Fashionable and functional. Let's go to Father O' Mine. Did you roll a percentile? Gonna be something that deals 2 points of damage and you die.
I rolled. What is the 0, 0? That's
100.
0
Oh,
and 3.
okay.
So,
Okay, so 30
3.
or 3. Yep, you're right. Mingle bone flute. Is that a bone flute crafted by Mingles, or is that a bone flute from a Mingle? Mingles. I don't know. Your interpretation, I guess. Let's go to Chris. Percentile.
I feel after the melting arm, you're gonna get something good here, Chris.
Yes.
An 9.
Aromatic herbs.
Okay.
So just a inspiration to springboard further character development, like come up with a story why your character has that or why it's important to them. Whatever the case might be there.
Aromatherapy for
Yeah.
my melted arm.
Got to do something to cover the smell.
That's right.
Okay. Then we're at the point where you could purchase equipment.
I mean, starting money or something, probably.
Yeah. I have to think about how I want to handle it. We could probably talk about that maybe a bit off stream. Or we'll handle that. You know, you don't have to sit here and buy your equipment. I'll give you the resources to be able to do that. So but I want to know this because I always like knowing what the spells are. So we got our wizard. Let's find out what spells that they know. So
That might change my choice if I end up only
right?
like with evil spells. Like I guess I'm gonna be a black magic guy.
Okay. And each of your spells will come with a spell stipulation. Let me see. I believe, if my memory serves me correctly, the wizard starts with 4 spells.
It does start with 4. Yes, per DCC rules.
Okay. Did you have a D30?
Nope. You're gonna roll for me.
Okay. Here we go.
Here we go.
And okay. The spell I rolled is enlarge.
Nice.
Maybe with each of these I'll just read off the real basic description. So enlarge. By touching a creature or object or targeting themselves, the caster causes the target to grow in size. In this manner, ropes become longer, doors become thicker, tables heavier, swords larger, and so on. Magical objects so increased retain their original magical potency. For example, a +1 sword does not become a +2 sword. It simply becomes a larger +1 sword. The caster can learn the reverse of the spell, reduce, which is used to make things smaller. Multiple castings of this spell do not stack, though reduce may be used to cancel enlarge. Okay. So we're going to learn, you got that spell, and now we're going to figure out what is the stipulation, what is the precondition to casting that spell, and so that'll be a percentile.
79.
And do you have a luck modifier?
Nope.
No. Okay, so it's a straight 79. Spell requires a brass ring to be worn on the caster's right hand to focus its power. And we would
Okay.
we would assume this is a thing that your character normally has, just by default. But if they would be separated from that ring, then they're in trouble, right?
Yep. No longer enlarged.
All right. Can't roll a 10 again. We already have that one. All right, 15. Okay. 1 second. I have to see if you. Okay. You're gonna gain 2 spells here. So one of them is Patron Bond, which is it's a spell that takes multiple days to cast, but it's basically bonding with like a deity or a power, and becoming kind of their entwined with them and their people to draw power from them or ask for favors from them and such. Let's just see. Patron Bond. The caster commits themselves to the service of a supernatural lord, forming a pact to gain its support as their patron, so long as they continue to please it with their service. This patron may be a demon, devil, ghost, spirit, elemental, angel, chaos lord, or other supernatural being who accepts the caster's service. The initial ceremony takes 1 week to complete. Once the pact is made, the caster may invoke the patron's support with the spell Invoke Patron. There's a bunch of description here, but essentially you have to do this spell with a patron in order to use the other spell. That's why you're gaining 2 spells.
Mm-hmm. Patron Bond is the first one, and then I can do Invoke.
Invoke,
Makes
yep.
sense.
I think I'm going to elect not to have a stipulation on this one. Just because it's already kind of ritualistic in nature, and so we will leave the stipulation off of that one.
Thank you.
Okay, so a third spell. I rolled an 18. This one is Mending. Mending. The caster can repair damaged objects, generally of a simple and mundane nature. The reverse spell, Tear, can cause minor defects and offers a fort save to the affected object. All right, so you have Mending. Go ahead and roll that percentile to see what the stipulation on this one is.
81.
This spell requires a prism of cut glass be held to the caster's forehead to enhance his mental power while casting the spell. And then finally, the fourth spell is Featherfall.
Okay.
The caster impedes his own or another person's rate of descent when falling. This allows the target. Hey, just so you know, we can definitely hear that cough real loud when you're doing that. If you can mute, that'd be great. Caster impedes his own or another person's rate of descent when falling. This allows the target to avoid injury or death or to glide upon the breeze. Note that this spell can be cast instantaneously out of initiative order if the caster or target within range is falling. That's interesting. I didn't realize probably one of the only like react spells in DCC. Go ahead and roll percentile on that.
11.
11. Spell requires a quantity of the caster's blood be shed for it to work its magic. Casting this.
It's gonna be difficult to use it as a reaction. Oh shit!
Let's say you could do. You could. Who knows how you handle that? But casting the spell inflicts hit point damage to the caster equal to its level. So, for example, a second level spell does 2 points of damage to the caster. So this would be 1 point. Cool. So
Okay.
those are the spells that you have to start, at least.
Definitely not a black magic dude for sure. So I'll stick with vanilla.
Yeah. At least not yet. Okay. I think basically that is everything. We could talk real quick about starting wealth, like what you have to buy stuff. It's dependent on your class. Let's see. I think at the start of the equipment section, there's a little table or something like that that has what you got to work with. So here we go. All right.
Page
Yeah, or what page did you have it?
70 on
Yes,
the
yes.
regular manual. Yeah.
70. So let's see, we've got the two thieves. You can roll 3d10. That's how many gold rilks you'll have to start. Our warrior, you can roll 5d12. That's how many gold you have.
Yes.
And then wizard, you got 3d10.
I'm broke.
Go ahead and record that. You don't have to do the purchasing and whatnot right now, but I'll give you some equipment lists to buy some stuff then.
That's
Is
how
this
many
gold
I got.
pieces?
What? How is there a stipulation you roll and that's how many you got,
That's how many
Yeah.
you got.
or what
That's how much gold you have.
formula that went with that?
What did you roll, Cliff?
I rolled 16.
So you got
You got
160.
16 gold, right? Yeah.
What's that? 160?
Oh, sorry. Nope, you got 16 then.
Yeah. 160, you'd be rich.
For some reason, I put a 10 multiplier of 10 on there, but I didn't mean 16.
Oh.
16 is what you got.
16. So I really can't buy much of anything.
16 is a lot, actually.
Is it?
Yeah.
Must be cheaper here.
Better than the 50 copper you get as level 0. So, but maybe this brings us to any questions about character creation. I think we're all done. I think what I'm going to ask, like I said, why don't each of you, spend some time thinking about how to incorporate all these elements that you've gotten from the Benisons, the Dooms, your interesting object, what have you. Some of you have some choices to make in terms of NPC that might pop up in your background or be relevant to your Benison or Doom. Cliff has a character. He has got to make a decision about who the other twin soul character is. So, you spend some time over the next 2 weeks figuring some of those pieces out. And when you can,
my is one of the other party members, right?
what the twin soul thing is one of the other party members. Yes. Yeah. So if you just do me, it doesn't have to be like a super long like backstory or whatever. But maybe no more than a page. I would say could try to keep it to a page or less. And there's one other thing you're going to incorporate in there, and that'll be related to what our opening scenario is going to be. So the four of you are, one way or another, you have come to be in captivity, and basically you have been brought to the land of the 8 cities, to a sort of terrible place, or at least a terrible place for the four of you, because your fate is that you have been sold to fight in the gladiatorial arena of the Mad Duke. The Mad Duke is the noble. His name is Lithquill. Often people generally just refer to him as the Mad Duke, but his name is Lithquill, and he is the ruler of Ul Hrusp, which of the 8 cities of the Great Forest is maybe the most developed. It is certainly the only one of the 8 cities that you'd find a stone building. Most of the peoples of the 8 cities are pretty rustic. They live off the land. They live in these kind of tight-knit communities within the forest, but this is like the one more developed city, I guess. And the Mad Duke has a penchant for violence and is almost obsessed with brutality, to the point that he has this gladiatorial arena that people come to. They watch the fights, but it's really, everything is designed just for his entertainment and his pleasure. And so, as skilled of warriors or fighters as you might be, it doesn't really matter. You know that fighting in these pits will eventually result in your death. Even if you are to survive for a year, eventually it'll happen, because they not only pit you against other humans to fight, they will bring in beasts, from exotic beasts, to satiate the Mad Duke's desire to see this brutality. And so that's going to be basically the opening scenario. So we're going to play it out that we might start things off with a combat scenario just to like kind of kick off the feel of that. But your main goal to start things off is going to be, how the hell do we get out of this? We have to find a way to get out of this situation, because we can't stay here fighting in this arena. So with that being said, when you're purchasing your equipment and such, it may be that you don't have it to start out with. Typically you'll be given weapons, to fight in the arena. And so you might have a different weapon each time. Just depends on what they hand you as you're coming out of the gates. So like I said, I'm totally okay with being vetoed if you don't want this to be the scenario. But my thinking is that it might be kind of interesting to start outside of Lankhmar and have it be kind of like, the goal is, let's get back home. Let's get back to, we'll be safe from the people that put us in this situation if we can get across the sea, get on a boat, get across the sea, and get back there. So any thoughts or feelings from any of you on this opening pitch for this is how you meet? So that's what I rolled on. There's a list of things. How do the adventurers meet? And so this was the one that I rolled. They also have published adventures that are meet adventures, like I don't remember if Gang Lords is a meat adventure. It might have been the one that you played in, Dave. I don't remember. But
Yeah, I'm trying to remember.
No, I'm fine with this particular setup.
I'm thinking about Spartacus. This is like a Spartacus situation.
Yes.
I like it. I like
About my character, but with 2 hit points, I'm thinking about my next game.
I have an ally on the outside too.
So yeah, with all of this, maybe wrap this up into the backstory that you come up with. Like, give me a little context for like, how did your character end up here? Did they just get rounded up by a slaver? They were in the wrong place at the wrong time. Personal friend or family member sold them out. Like, under what circumstances did they find themselves in captivity and then brought here for this purpose? But yeah, that's kind of what I aimed to accomplish, was to set out and just give you a situation, and then we'll see like where it goes from there. Probably this next session will be coming to the answer of like, how do you get free is really what the next session is going to be about. So we'll have some combats. I'll have some RP scenarios that I'm trying to come up with in terms of, when you're back in your cells or whatever, maybe mixing with some of the other fighters to share some world knowledge. Where are they from? It's very diverse. It's going to be a very diverse group of people. You might have some Mingles, you might have some Northerners, fighting in the pits as well. And so I'll use that as sort of my mechanism for sharing some world information with your characters.
Nice.
Yeah, other things that you guys want to talk about?
Trying to think if there was anything that really came up. I don't. Other than I'll probably just roll up my ally.
Okay. Yeah, make it kind of a little bit random.
Yeah, I mean, I'll just have it kind of go through a character creation for him. It sounded like it's actually, a little more than an NPC. It is actually like a hireling or retainer type situation thing that could go on. So,
I guess I'll just reiterate kind of like campaign tone, and like what I'm hoping to accomplish with this is, like I said kind of at the beginning, this is going to be very much sword and sorcery. Like, you guys are the focus. Your characters are the focus of the story. It's not about saving the world or anything like that. It's hopefully like through having this like kind of terrible situation that you all get stuck together in, that these 4 characters sort of form a bond that will carry forward and bring them into Lankhmar, and then you guys are going to sort of set the agenda of what do you want to accomplish. You want to, run a tavern and kind of run a gang that like, occupies a block of the city and kind of do that kind of thing. Do you want to go and work for another faction? Do you want to go and work for the Thieves Guild? Do you want to do heists? Do you want to work with the Slayers Guild and be kind of mercs? There's all sorts of different options that we have for setting the agenda for adventure. And so I'll kind of, once you guys get to Lankhmar, that's, assuming that's where we go. Yeah, who knows? Maybe you end up in one of the other 8 cities before you make it to Lankhmar. I don't know. But it's meant to be, I really want to make this kind of, we're building, you guys are telling me this is the type of adventure that we want, and then I'll seek that out, whether it's roll on a bunch of tables to come up with the story hooks and the NPCs and whatnot, or if I'm aware of a DCC Lankhmar module that fits the thing that you guys want to do, then we'll incorporate that. I think that's everything that I wanted to cover. So if there are other things that come up, we'll be using our Discord to kind of chat back and forth about ideas that we have for the next session, and as Cliff, once you figure out what you want to do with that twin soul thing, let us know in the Discord who you want that to be. And
Now, who was the other one from Lankhmar? Is that Gabe or
that was Dave.
Yep.
what's
Me.
that?
Dave.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah, I'm from the place that we're captive in.
Yep.
So
All right.
So, Lankhmar is a big city, so we don't necessarily know each other, me and Dave. But
Correct.
it's possible.
Yeah, it's possible. But yeah, it's a huge city. Just because you're from the same place, it would be crazy happenstance to be in this situation and then know the other person, right? But
Unless you want me to be that other side of that, where we would kind of been teamed up,
Well, I'm thinking that once, if I recognized his accent and know that he's from the same city as me, I would most likely choose him as my as the split soul. But
do you want
And
to
with that,
go ahead?
go ahead. With that split soul, we don't have to. Do we automatically know who our other person is, or do we not know who each other are?
It could be either way. Like, it could be just that you have this like weird feeling about the other person because it's the soul.
Okay.
The idea is like the soul split, and then like the two of you
Okay.
were reincarnated kind of in this way that like maybe like you could play it either way, I think.
Sure. Okay.
But the really the benefit there is it allows you to burn. I don't know if you're not familiar with halflings. Halflings in DCC can burn luck to impact other people's rolls. And so what this is giving you, that we don't have halflings in DCC Lankhmar, but it's giving you the kind of that ability. And not only like do you burn a luck to give a +1 to Cliff's roll, or Cliff, you burn a luck and give a bonus to Dave. It's a +2. So you burn 1 point of luck, you're giving a +2 to their whatever the roll is.
Oh wow.
So
Okay.
So it's almost like more economical from the luck standpoint, if you want to game it that way. Like,
Right.
instead of you burning luck, let me burn the luck, because then you get more mileage out of it.
And on
Yeah.
top of that, you guys are both thieves, meaning that you do have an already kind of established way of getting it that back. So that's honestly pretty on point.
Yeah.
Other character pitches, or so did you guys want to commit to that right away? Because then
I'm fine with it if Cliff is. Yeah.
yeah, I think I might go with that.
okay. So then, Dave, you can write down another Benison as your twin soul Benison.
Oh, it doesn't get rid of my other one?
Nope, it's an addition.
Oh, okay.
You're twice blessed.
Oh wow.
without having to take a doom.
I was gonna say, do I have to take another Doom?
Nope.
Oh, okay.
Not on that one.
Okay. All right.
And Alex, you brought up about patron die. Is that something that comes up later,
yeah.
or is that something that
Let me
needs to be done now?
Let me explain it now. It won't come up now, but I'll explain it. And I will be introducing a patron, or not a patron. I'll be introducing an agent in the first session, so that the option is there should you want to use it. But there are more than one agent, so it wouldn't be like if you characters decide, oh, we're not dealing with this kooky character. There'll be others. Let's see where. Patron die, page 31. Okay. So, so becoming an agent is one of those things that, like, you know, either is presented to you in the story, or, you know, if you have an idea, like, hey, I want to seek out a certain type of patron or a certain type of, you know, entity, just let me know and we can design, you know, a session around that. For the case of you, Gabe, you've got the patron bond spell. In some ways that sort of acts as like the shortcut to becoming a, you know, bonded with an agent or whatever. But the cool thing is, in the Lankhmar, really anybody, it's not limited to wizards. Like anybody can kind of find themselves in this situation, having a powerful being that they sort of act as the servant of. And sometimes you could be unsought after, or you're unwillingly or against your will kind of serving a patron. I think if you've watched when we did this session, I think it's called the cheating death one that always gets referenced, where Death kind of has the characters on his chain because he's like, you know, forces them to go and take the life of this guy that like can't die, or they will die. So you might have those kinds of situations that sometimes come up too. But anyway, if you end up with a agent that you are working for, you gain a patron die. So once a creature has become a patron's agent, they can request assistance from the patron at any time, seeking a small portion of the being's supernatural power in order to achieve a difficult goal, or in turn, an abject failure into a triumph. Turn an abject failure into a triumph. The agent calls on their patron, placing themselves in debt to the power in return for this aid. This bartering is resolved to a special new game mechanic called the patron die. Upon becoming a patron's agent, the character receives a D10 patron die that they can roll when requesting help from that power. So the way that you use the patron die is when you make an attack, spell check, a saving throw, skill check, whatever the roll is that you're kind of getting assistance on. Maybe it's an attempt to restore health. I think we had mentioned that. You would roll the patron die that you have currently, along with the action die appropriate. So let's use the example of an attack roll. You want to empower your attack against the big dragon. If the result of the patron die is less than or equal to the unmodified roll of the D20, or the action die, the agent's patron assists the character in some capacity. So you want the patron die to be as low as possible, right? Like you want to roll under that D20. If it's successful, the bonus is immediately applied to the action die roll, granting the agent an increased chance of success effectiveness in their attempt. If the patron die result is greater than the unmodified roll of the action die, the patron refuses to assist the agent. Perhaps the agent's patron is busy with other endeavors, cannot spare their attention, or maybe the agent has unwittingly slighted the patron in some way. If the patron refuses to aid the agent, assistance cannot be requested again for that action or activity, although it can be attempted when performing a similar action at a later date. Once you have successfully used your patron die to receive aid, all subsequent appeals for assistance become more difficult. So then your patron die steps up in the dice chain. So that D10 becomes a D12. D12 become a D14. You know, the more that you're using the power of your patron, the harder and harder it becomes. But then you can do little acts of service to like bring it back. So the more that you're doing favors for your patron, it'll go back down. So just some of the examples they have here are attack bonuses, bonuses to spell checks, bonuses to saving throws to protect you, giving bonuses to skill ability checks, increase your expertise in something. For healing, some of the examples are HP gain of +5, roll hit dice twice, take the better result. So a couple of ways to like influence healing. Sometimes it depends on the patron too. Each patron has a different table or different charts to roll on, so they might be able to give you like extra help in different ways depending on who it is. So like, for example, the red god is a god of murder and violence, so all of their things have to do with like attack rolls and like empowering your weapons and things like that. Does that all make sense? Like how that would work? And we will revisit it once it becomes important, but I thought let's just talk about it real quick just so you get kind of the idea of it. Yeah. Other questions? So
That was it.
our first session is going to be, I believe it is January 28th. So we will, for those watching, we will be posting up kind of, our schedule. But sounds like we're going to do these basically every other week. So starting on the 28th, every other Sunday, right here on 20 Sides Every Story, you can catch this. So yeah. With that, I think that's going to conclude the session 0. I think we've got what we need to get rolling in a couple of weeks. So thanks everybody for hanging out. I'm going to check here real quick and see if there's anybody we can go and raid real quick as we call it a night. Man, I don't have too many people on my list here tonight. Let's go and raid High Shelf Collective. So join the raid. Let's go pass the love on and say hello to some fellow tabletop RPG streamers, and see y'all in a couple weeks.